Yes, I know nobody asked for this, but I have been yapping for way too much at this point, and I'm pretty sure like 75% of the community has the wrong idea or wrong impression of me right now because of that. So I'm just here to clear up any misconceptions. I'll just get straight to the points. So first off, probably the big generic question is, do I genuinely hate PGR and think that the game as a whole is just dying? For the first part, my answer is, well, not really. It is more like I just don't like the direction the game has been taking for the past couple of patches now. And I genuinely do think that the competitive side of this game has been nothing but downhill. Now, that does follow up for the next part of the game as a whole. And contrary to what I just said, the answer is no. I do genuinely think that playing this game casually has never been better. And you can tell that Kuro Games really does care more about its casual side of the game more than the competitive side of the game. For its generic quality of life changes, boss designs, character details, just to name a few. I think the next important part, is probably more on the reason that I quit the game. I think some people who don't really know me as well or new to the community thinks that I'm probably trolling or something, and that I'm just some Doom poster or something. For context, I'm not going to go super in depth, but essentially in my guild Discord server. By the way, shout out to the guild. Please join me on any server, thanks. I had this incredibly weird drama with this guy. He was just rage baiting me. I basically fell for it. I thought he was serious about what he was saying, and it was just essentially just stuff about me crying about the game, how trash it is. If I think it is trash, I should just quit. And that is what I did. I quit because of him. Now, this might sound pathetic that I would quit over something stupid like that, but during that time, I just did not want to stick around the game anymore. I had many reasons why I did want to quit beforehand, but during that time, I wasn't planning to quit that soon, because I did want to try some stuff in future PGR before I decided to fully quit. But that drama did give me a reason why to leave at that time, and frankly, I did enjoy my time off. Now playing this game is pretty nice. Now, this is a part where I probably should give more context on myself as a player, because this might sound all confusing about quitting and all of a sudden. I was a dedicated PPC player, used to be Warzone Mulder, turned into PPC Mulder after joining with Jeremy, shout out to him, because, well, why would I need to play Warzone when I had the best Warzone player in the NA server doing it? You know, not like I would ever beat him. He was getting bored of PPC at the time, and I had lots of fun doing PPC at that time. So it was just a no-brainer that we would join forces. Now, that was still during a time where the competitive side of the game was at its absolute peak, in my opinion. Where both in-game and the community side of the competitive scene was just thriving. It was a lot of fun to be playing PGR at the time, which was around the Garnet to Imperia patches, which is the golden age of PGR for me, so to speak. Now, starting from the Capriccio patch, was when the game was just starting to become more dicey. If you're a PGR boomer like me, you probably remember that if you're a multi-input player, like controller, keyboard, 4 fingers on mobile, not someone who uses 2 thumbs, you could probably notice that the game has implemented this sort of anti-macro measure, where you can't press multiple inputs during a short time period, which was incredibly annoying because of the, you know, year-long muscle memory we all developed for so long, and it was just so demotivating that Core Games had to just randomly put this in game. And for context, if you play this time, I'm referring to the whole pet bug thing. You probably do remember that, where if you press your pet active, they weren't really registering. This is mostly during around the time where you're pressing your QTEs, like for DV and stuff. Eventually, I did get used to it somewhat, but it doesn't mean that I think that this intentional feature was good for the game. considering how buttery smooth the game was back then compared to now. I did mention before that I was becoming more of a PvC player when joining Jeremy, but I still had my old SSS account. I was still committed to just keep it around until the Starfarer patch. Now that does mean I did play Warzone, although with occasional pilots, because Warzone at its later end of the Cloud Warzone era, it just kept having dogshit zones. I was getting sick and, quite frankly, genuinely disappointed that this mode I once enjoyed is just fucking unbearable. Although the Warzone Super Team was pretty nice. Nice refresher for a single patch. PPC was in an okay state, but the Starfarer patch has definitely taken a turn for the absolute worst in the, almost every way possible. Now, we'll fast forward quite a lot in this timeline. I'll just keep repeating a lot of things on these patches. So I was just slowly getting burnt out from PvC from multiple things. The most prominent one was just the game is just dead. Like, there's literally no competition, no reason why I should even aim for max scores every week. So like 5 people would just notice, and it just wasn't very motivating for me to keep playing. Another was that the characters as a whole to mold with, they're just not very fun. This is obviously subjective. You may think these characters are better to mold with compared to what we had back then, but for me, it just wasn't it. Like, come on, dude. Like, what is this fake dodge cringe? Like, I'm just physically bending and shooting my fingers over that shit, and we have this double slit dog shit, and who the fuck even came up with such a shitty name for that shit? Like, what? Like, all these stupid mechanics, like, probably shouldn't even exist, and Coral Games definitely did not intend for these features to be intentional. It's just way too much for me. Like, I was at a point where I myself had just stopped committing to learning all these new fancy tags. I was just not straight motivated in the first place. Now, why all this sad and, gloomy over not being motivated and all that? If I didn't make it obvious about the dead game part, a big part of why I played was because of the community I was attached to. The PvC community is just something invaluable to me. I learned so much, talked to so much people. I just love being a part of it, where I molded alongside them. Now, over time, obviously, all these old faces come and go, and before you know it, you're pretty much the last one standing. It wouldn't be bad if new molders also come along, well, but I hate to break it to you, it's just rare. Like, it's almost like a miracle. Someone just comes along and just breaks the status quo of our PvC hierarchy, so to say. Now, this isn't to say I haven't met any new molders. Massive shout out to Megu, my Vietnamese homie, who would I say is easily the best PvC player at one point. Yes, better than Zeratu. He was one of the reasons why I did stick with the game for way longer than I should have. He's basically soon turned into teacher. It was like a month ago. Like, I remember teaching how to use Garnet. He's like one of those who came to teach me about new Peter Zoomer techs. Now it's not like that I played the game solely for him, obviously. But it's just one of the few examples of people who I knew back then who currently quit the game right now. Obviously, it's not like the PvC scene is just dead as a whole. But it's just not the same when I talk to the new guys. Okay, before that's taken out of context, I'm not saying that these new guys are bad to talk to or, they're trash. It's just more like a nostalgia thing. I'm just more comfortable talking to them. Like, they're genuine friends. And now we're at the present. We're almost near Epitaph's patch. I think that's pronounced the name, the Firewalls and IP tank. Where PvC will yet take another turn. But I do think this is the part where I do talk about my future. Because I always say random shit, like, oh, I will come back, or, nah, this game's too shit. To be honest, I would like to come back to this game at some point or another, even though, through that drama, that I would like to stay committed to leaving the game. It just isn't easy on me. When I haven't played the game for what I wanted to in the first place. When I looked at these future patches. Now, would I come back now? Definitely not. I genuinely believe that PvC is at its absolute worst state it has ever been. And it is not an exaggeration this time. Like, throughout the entire history of the 3 years, holy shit, I've known this game, I did not think that PvC state would be this dire of a need for a change. Like, with all the, bullshit mechanics I mentioned before, and also even just the introduction of Harmo and some sages being gatekept because of that shit is just not the greatest time to be playing. Now for Warzone, I do think it has definitely become a lot better compared to last time I genuinely played, which was probably like a year ago or so, maybe. I do watch some Jeremy videos. It does look pretty fun, but so to speak, I definitely won't be playing his Warzone anytime soon. I'm way too out of touch with Warzone, just way too much to learn in a short period of time. Now for the community side of things is where things get blown out of proportion. For the longest time, I genuinely did not think we would have new molders or even just standout figures in the community, like in the PGR official server or Discord server, which has like historically known to be like absolute shit show with like the weirdest drama I've ever seen. Just because there's like, like one guy every new year, like they won't even stay. Rip J for many. Hope you're doing good. But one thing to note now as of recent though is well, of course, introduction of Huaxu from Nova. Well, okay, first off, huge shout out to Nova. Huaxu is something I would genuinely never believe would come to really any gacha game or even game as a whole. It's quite insane what utility and tools as comes to provide for a game. Incredibly beneficial for us. Like, what else can I say? But good things. Now another part of the community as of late is also incredibly surprising for me. Is actually the influx of new people in the gameplay help channel of the PGR Discord server. I'm honestly at a loss of words. That there's genuine growth in this game in like every aspect possible. Now this game, it still won't be the talk of the public. It's still gonna be, that game that was created by the same company as Wuthering Waves. But it does breathe a sign of new life into this game. Well, I'm not going to go over everyone new to this game. It will be quite a list. But you guys know who you are. Shout out to you guys, of course. They're quite entertaining to talk to. They generally know their stuff. Up to the CN server. All in a short period of time. So, they're committed to the game. Now, why am I saying all this? Well, I am just saying that this game is genuinely changing. Both in-game and community-wise. And I do think there is some genuine reason for me to come back. And just gain some of that old motivation I had years ago. I did look into some of Onslaught PPC, which is coming very soon on Luna Oblivion patch. I think that's her frame name. The Void Luna. It does shake up quite the game, for sure. In fact, my first impression wasn't very positive when it was released on CN. I genuinely thought that PPC lost its identity. With being this sort of spreadsheet mode that people love to min-max so much. But after Global, we went through the patches before the Onslaught PPC patch, and yeah, I can see why it would bring such a breath of fresh air for the PPC scene after being like in such a shithole for that long. The whole spreadsheet mode would die out, but to be quite frank, with the direction that these new feature characters are taking with modern design, like a rework was pretty much all you could ask for. Yeah. To end this all off, see you guys in the future, I guess.